Are we ready?
Yeah, ready to go.
Ready. All right. This is Mike is in Minorca Magic here with my buddy Phil, the cameraman. We're it's a little cool this morning. It's 47 when I got up. This late in March. That's kind of cool for us. We're in St. Augustine, Florida, by the way, nation's oldest city. And anyway, I've got a couple of things I want to go over. It's repeat stuff, but you know, I do my best to help anybody that needs help. And I got a buddy. His name is Tim. I'm not going into any disclosure where he's at or anything. I don't want nobody to get embarrassed or you know. Anyhow, he's having issues. He made him a net. It looks nice. And now he wants to make him a shrimp net, but his issue is the needle. He's having trouble with getting. You cannot buy, and I've told you people over and over and over, you cannot buy commercial needles that space the gap between it. I'm going to reach over and grab one of these and just so I can show you what I'm talking about. Phil can get a good view of this. Well, he's adjusting his camera. He should have done that before we started. Now he's jumping all over the place. What are you doing to me? You're killing me, buddy.
Okay, I'm going to zoom in.
Yeah, you zoom in. All right. The spacing between the tongue and the sides of your frame of your needle need to be narrowed, or else that Dacron it'll come loose on you. Now here's one a needle that I use. You can see that close gap. Can you see that, Phil?
Just twist it a little so I can see the gap. There you go.
Okay, you can see that gap, how close that gap is. And anyway, that line stays on there pretty good. That's one of my favorite colors. That's chartreuse braided Dacron. Okay, anyway, Tim's having issues with coming up with a needle. He's like me. He's probably not a very good carpenter. I ain't worth a flip. Some of you guys out there are finished carpenters. I know you do some beautiful work. But whatever I do, I butcher. Anyway, I get it done. It's workable. I had somebody saying as crooked as me. I cut that groove and that thing ended up crooked as me. Look at that. I mean, lopsided and everything.
Hold it, I'm coming in.
It doesn't matter. You know, what we did now, Phil and I did come up with it. We made us a, I mean, nobody wants to go out and invest a couple of $100 in a little drill press and a Daco with a blade, you know. But we did that. So in the future, now I think this one was done with that. It's pretty and straight. But anyhow, let's get back to the subject. Tim is having issues with. Now there is we did a video, one of our early videos, probably three or 4 years ago now, maybe not that, but anyhow, that we went into detail on how to make these needles by hand. Tim was wondering what kind of wood. I love ebony. I love ebony. As you can see, I use a lot of ebony. I mean, I've got black. Let me mumble around here. I've got black ebony and white ebony, but you can get this stuff online. I get mine off of eBay. Just put in, if you go on eBay, just put in exotic hardwood, and different sellers will come up. And what I did was buy this stuff. This is probably the width of the block, and then we rip it. You gotta have a table saw where you can rip this thing, and you gotta have a planer to plane it down, and you gotta have a bandsaw. Now Phil's telling me about he's going to give me the information. He run across something online where you can buy this stuff in sheets. It's 1/8 thick, and that's basically what this is. We've planed this down to 1/8. And so all you'd have to do is cut it to the width and do your mark. Now, what I've done here is I've laid out the diagram of where it's hard to see. You're not going to have a hard time picking that up. But anyway, I'm going to run my finger along here where I've got the line, and what I'm going to do, when you go out and buy a bandsaw blade, now I'm the hacksaw blade, do not go to the Dollar Tree and get 5 for $1. Go to a part supply house. This is a Nicholson. There's good brands out there. You want a good brand of blades that is going to be sharp and stay sharp. Anyway, so what I've done, I've got my mark, and what I have to do is I'm going to hold this thing in my hand, and I'm going to let Phil zoom in here because I'm going to get right on that line. Can you see that, Phil?
Yep.
Okay, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to just gnaw this thing back and forth like this. You got to be careful that you don't get out of line. I'm going to cut this thing. I'm going to do this. I ain't going to spend a lot of time on it. I'm going to go back and forth like this until I cut through. When I get cut all the way through this piece of wood, then you're going to just run your blade down through it, and you're going to saw it by hand. Saw it down to your mark, and then turn it around, and you're going to saw back this other way, and you're going to follow till you come to this point. Now, you got to be careful there. Here's one that's been done. Let me get a better example than that. Okay. That's one of my crooked ones. This one shows up really good. This one shows up good. You can really see the color there.
Okay, hold it.
Can you see that good? How that? I'm going to just kind of turn it.
There you go, right there.
Where they can see it. Now this thing's going to get off center on you. Forget that. That's over time. They warp. But it doesn't hurt a thing. You put your cord on there and that's, see. But notice how close that gap is up at the top. You want that tip of that tongue up close up here. Because if you don't, that line in your process of working on that net, it's going to, now and then it's going to come off on you, and you got to stop and thread it back on.
Hold up the needle again, and hold it flat, just like that. Tilt it slightly, rotate it. Right there. Hold it. Okay.
All right. I think we're getting a point. I hope Tim will watch this because we'll upload this thing later. But anyway, that's basically what you do. And then you got to finish cutting it out. For information, ½ inch to 5/8. This needle here is a ½ inch. That's the width of this needle. It's ½ inch. Now that's a bear. You got to be careful. You want to leave it wide. Leave that wood wide until you cut that center completely out and ready to go. So if you screw up, you don't want to finish cut because this you're going to cut the outside on the bandsaw. So anyway, but that's one of my really good ones there. The cord stays on this one really nice. And I'm going to show you a couple other things here back from my early years and this stuff. This needle was one I made back in the early 1960s. It was done by hand. I took when I went to work for an aircraft company that I got access to aluminum and fancy equipment, saws and this and drill presses and this, that, and the other. And what I did is I took and laid this out. That's a ½ inch also. This one's 5/8. Doesn't matter. I wouldn't go over 5/8 on a shrimp net needle.
Hold them together, steady.
Yeah.
And let me zoom in.
Yeah, you can see the difference there. Really, there's no point in going over this much, Phil, because they're not going to make needles out of aluminum.
But you get an idea of the size.
Yeah, you get an idea. See, these are shorter. I found out I wanted a longer needle. As you can see now, look at the difference. You're looking at probably 10, 11 inches versus 14. I like the long needle because it holds more cord. I've told you this many times. I hate knots. I don't like a bunch of knots in the net. But anyhow, what I did here, I laid this thing out, and I took it over on the drill press, and I took a number 60 drill bit. Number 60 drill bit, and I drill I drilled far enough where I could get the blade through it. Back in the day, I used to take and I had that equipment. At lunchtime, I'd break the blade on the bandsaw, slide it through the slot I had cut, weld it back, put it back on the saw, and cut it with a power saw. Okay. Then as years went by, this was in the late '70s here, when I really got first class and had access to a laser. This one is laser cut. I had one of my layout people give him the dimensions. That guy was really good. He laid this thing out. We had what we call a Fabravision, and oh man, that thing detailed it right out. And this was cut with a laser, just straight as you can get it. I mean, it cut all the way around and down. That's done with a laser. I didn't make many of these because I was partial to wood. But anyway, here's the different, the different needles that you can make. And this is this is my favorite. As you can see, this is ebony. Okay.
Hold it steady.
Ebony,
Hold it steady.
black ebony and white ebony. You can find these with no trouble online. I gotta tell you, hickory is good. There's nothing wrong with hickory. I like hickory because it's light. Didn't really care. I've made needles out of cherry, but I really prefer ebony's my favorite. I just like the grain. But there's a lot of exotic woods out there. If you want to experiment, I mean, there's lots of different things. Did I cover everything on that, Phil? Tim, I hope you're watching. You're gonna be watching this, and this is for you. I'm filling your request to help you with your issues with, and I'm going to contact you later. I've got some other ideas that will help you. All right, now let's go into a couple of other little issues, people. And I got somebody that doesn't understand what I've been saying about when you start. When you start a net, you're going to start with 42 meshes or any number you want. I use 42. I have used 63. I have used 48. I've made 16 wide in nets, 21 wide in nets. My old Minorcan ancestors, early years, made 21 wide in nets. Those nets were especially made out of linen, cotton. It was terribly heavy. Anyhow, get you. My little mullet cat wants to be in the picture here. Teddy the mullet cat. He ain't never seen a damn mullet. He ain't never eat a piece of fish. He's spoiled rotten. He hangs on me like I don't know what, but I love it. All right, what I'm going to show you here, I'm to the point where I can get two birds with one stone. We're going to talk. I started talking about the 42. You can't form a mesh without a knot. So every mesh has a knot. Any way you look at it. If you're going to tie 41 meshes when you start, and when you get to the end, I'm going to show you that. Let me just jump ahead of myself. I'm ready to put a widen. This is a widen row. I'm going to go ahead and I want to finish this because I want to show you how to tie in. That's another important thing. Is I always keep a close count of this. Now I'm ready to put in that winding. Can you see that? Can
hold it steady?
See that? This is old news. Can you see that winding? Tell me something.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna come in here. I'm gonna right underneath that winding from 2 rows ago. I put my winding row, 2 plain rows. Now I'm on a winding row, about to finish it up. And I'm going to come down. Now, this is critical. You see how I hold this? I don't pull this down. I don't leave no slack in it. Just snug it. Can you see that, Phil?
Hold it right there.
It's hard to see. Let me spread it a little bit. Let me spread this out a little bit where you can get a better view of it. Okay. Now, I'm going to throw my loop. And I'm going to come through it one time. And I'm going to come back over again and back through it again. Now, I'm gonna reach here and I'm gonna catch this, make sure that's back snug. And then pull that thing nice and tight. Okay, I've got just a few to go here. Then we're going to, this is the old Flying Dutchman. Remember, I've talked about this many times. This is, as far as I'm concerned, us Minorcans are concerned, this is the English knot. There were two knots back in my day, and the Spanish knot, which is thousands of years old. The English knot, I know, goes back to, what I say, 1572, I think. I've got
Yeah, something like
on
that.
it. But they didn't call it the Flying Dutchman. If anybody ever can figure out where that name, term Flying Dutchman come from, let me know. I've said this, but nobody's ever found out. Now what I'm fixing to just wind this up here. And this is going to help answer the one individual's concerns about two of them. I'm going to tie the last, form the last mesh. You cannot form a mesh without a knot. All right, I'm to the end.
Okay,
Now,
I want to get to the side here so I can shoot
now
down.
somebody had questions about, called it a piece of string. That piece of string is the tail. You have to have the tail. That's part of the net. That's why I've just finished this. I'll finish this row, and I'm gonna catch the tail. I'm gonna catch the tail and the line
Hold steady, hold steady.
and the line off of.
Hold steady. Okay.
All right, I'm gonna come up here, and this is where you got to be careful. This takes practice to get this where I'm just simply tying a knot. That's all I'm doing. I'm just tying a knot with both pieces, both ends of this thing. This is a piece of string, as it's referred to, but it's the tail. All right, I'm gonna run this thing up here. I'm gonna make absolutely sure that I've got that thing. You can take your gauge, like this,
Hold steady.
and
Hold
measure
steady,
it, see
hold
what I'm
steady.
doing? Because I want that knot to end up on the leading edge of this board. Got it?
Yeah.
All right. I don't use it. I don't do it that way. I just eyeball it because I've done so many of them. But then I'm going to gently see. I'm not tightening that. I just barely started that knot. Now I'm going to take my mesh board and I'm going to come in here like this. Can you see that? See, I've got that
Hold
thing
steady.
almost on the money.
Hold steady, hold steady.
You see that knot?
Okay.
See how I got that? That's what you want to see right there. That's as good as you can get it. Okay? Look at that.
Hold steady.
You buy that, buddy?
Got it.
All right. That is the end of the row, end of that circle. Handmade cast net is a continuous circle. Now you has this problem of getting under your feet. Now I've completed that row, and I'm ready to continue on. Well, for 2 plain rows. Now, answering the question. That is the tail. That's going to change. Well, at some point, when this thing gets too short, or I suggest in your process of making your rows, if you get to a point where you come up to the end and it's just a little bit of line left on that needle, cut out. Tie the knot like I just did, cut it off right below that knot. That's a mesh. That knot there, that's a mesh, folks. That is a mesh. I formed, if this would have been starting of the net, that would have been mesh number 42. If you tie 42 meshes and then you tie this at the end, you're going to have 43. Any way you look at it, it doesn't work that way. You tie 41 meshes. When you tie it in like I did right there, that's going to be number 42. 41 meshes around, and they're knots. I don't care. You cannot form a mesh without a knot. So get that out of your head. Anyway, we're done with that. We've got that. We're ready to go. I don't know of anything else I could be more plainer than that. I hate to get a little vocal, but it does get a little bit frustrating because I try so hard to get my point across, and 99.9% of the people get it. But anyway, I got an email from a fella in Indonesia. Indonesia, you know where Indonesia is? Way down in the South Pacific, thousands of miles away. He wanted to know if I could donate some nets. Well, it's just not feasible. It's not feasible. The shipping would be, 10, 12 pound nets. I mean one net. They're just talking about poor people. Hell, we poor up here too. But anyway, I appreciate the people writing. I don't I wish I could help him, but it's just about out of the question. But anyway, I wish people would call me. I like the phone calls because it's hard for me. I get with one finger pecking on that little old keyboard, to answer questions. But they don't. They prefer to send an email. That's all right. Okay, so now I know you know how to start this. I'm going to start this next row. I'm going to take this board. Watch this, Phil. You see the tail hanging down. And what I said earlier, if you run out, if you get to a point, you're going to have to. This thing's not going to last forever. Plus, it's a good idea periodically every 10, 12, 15 rows. It's not a bad idea to cut out anyhow and start in another location. Go halfway around and start anew. Anyway, I'm going to slide my board right up against that knot. Right up where that tail's hanging down. Can you see that good, Phil?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to take my old trusty English knot, if I can find that damn mesh. That's the trouble with this Dacron. It curls so bad. Twists and curls. Got to be careful doing this because you want this first knot pulled tight. You want to pull it good and tight against that board. So when you tie it, see how snug that is? You can see that, right, Phil?
Hold steady. Yep.
Okay. I'm just going to tie a couple. I'm going to terminate this project for the day. I've yapped enough. Just put 2 or 3 meshes where I can. All right, I'm going to set this up here. I got to lay my tail up out the way because my little buddy he'll chew on that tail. He'll chew on that tail. Hey, I think I've covered everything. I've showed you the needles. We've talked about ratios. Ratios again have come down over the years, and people, despite what I tell them, I get them telling me how they make it 12 widenings, folks, is not enough widenings in a net. I mean, if it does spread open full, it's going to be like a damn tennis racket. Fish are going to hit it and bounce off. You need more webbing than 12 widening. 14 is really a minimum. 16 is ideal. The old timers make 21 widening nets. When I say 21, they start with 63 mashes around. They'd come down about 10 or 12 rows. They'd start their widenings, and they would put them 3 apart. And 3 times 21 is what? 63. That's what he come up with, a 21 widening net. 16 widening net, they reduced back in the 50s. He started making 16 widening nets. For years, I made 16 widening nets. You put 48 in the top. 48 in the top. 3 times 16 is going to be 48. And you can do any combination you want. You can make 15 widening nets. Not practical, but people, get stuff in their mind, go for it. And like I've told you time and time again, whatever I show you is what works for me. It's not the only way, or I'm going to tell you the best way. It's good. It works for me. I've made a lot of these things. I mean, I couldn't tell you how many. I don't know. In 70, 72, 73 years, I made a lot of nets. Okay, if you would, I appreciate it. Keep the calls. Call me. The number here is area code 904-217-7974. If you want to call me, the email address is Menorcan Magic. That's going to be on the YouTube channel. It's Menorcan, Minorcan, at gmail.com, or it's Menorcan, Menorcan, or I prefer is Usinamike, Usinamike at gmail.com. I get calls now daily, emails daily with issues like I tried to address this morning. I hope that helps Tim. Tim, I'm going to write you in a little while. And I got an idea which will help you immensely. And I like to try to help people that are interested in this, because I'm on my way out. The curtain's coming down, folks. I got to tell you, man, I'm 80. I'll be 83 in June, and it's getting harder for me all the time now to do this stuff. And I got nets hanging. I'm in a little lull right now. I'm really happy about getting a break, but I don't quit. I keep working. I just got a mullet net. I got it to 7.5 foot, and I quit. Just like that one's 5.5. In case I get somebody wants a 6 or a 7, or I've got it almost there. All right, I'll be rattled enough. Phil, let's wrap this thing up, buddy. You got anything to say?
Nope.
Nothing on a thing. With that, you guys, everybody out there, take care of yourself. Keep in touch, and until the next time.